Hi, welcome back to my channel. Today we will be looking at this position, which comes from a game Morozevich and Movsesian in 2008. Now, first of all, I would recommend you to pause the video and find the best move for white. Okay, so first, when you're going about this position, you have to calculate the checks. Really, Queen h4 and Queen e3 are basically the only checks in this position, and they don't seem to do anything because Queen h4 just king to g6, on Queen g4, then the king will go back to h7, and it will find a hiding place there on g8. So that is why we have to look for other moves. White doesn't really have any other capture, so he needs to find something to attack the black king. He needs to add an extra attacker. And of course, we notice that very nice diagonal c1 to h6, right? So if we could play the move bishop c1 check, for example, that would basically be checkmate. And we could basically kill two birds with one stone by this next move. Let's see, rook to c4. Now we have the threat of basically playing bishop c1, basically checkmate, and we also are bringing in another piece into the attack because now there are things like queen h4 check and rook to g6. I analyzed a few moves in this position. First of all, BC, we just give bishop c1 check, and this is actually game over. I mean, let's see, on the move king h5, there's going to be just queen to g4 checkmate. The king really doesn't have any way to escape. He just has to go to h5 in this position, so that concretely wins. And one of the lines that I forgot to analyze actually was the move bishop b2. I mean, it's quite obvious, but I'll show you. Probably just simply queen h4 check. And in this position, black basically has to make the move king to g7. Now we give another check. King goes back. Now queen h6 in this position. I think bishop g7 must be played. And now I'm just assuming rook takes g7 in this position. And on the move knight takes g7, there's queen h8 mate. So this is, that looks right actually. And that is, in this position, black really doesn't have any moves because the rook will move away with some sort of discover check, and that will be checkmate on the next move. So taking the bishop will not work. So this move, you can see how powerful this rook c4 move is because it brings in another piece. The move that the two most challenging moves in this position, I'll tell you, are the moves bishop d4, where white needs to make the correct decision of taking with the rook, and so now after the move rook takes, queen takes, now we have threats on the diagonal. Because it's quite important for us to keep that bishop on b2 because it will be used to mate the king. And f6. So now, really, I had to calculate the move rook takes e8. So now black doesn't really have any moves. He has to take the rook. Might as well just be a rook up and hope not to get mated. But on the move queen f6, of course, on the move king h5, we get g4 with a very nice checkmate. So king h7. But I calculate that after move queen h4, there's this move. Well, first of all, king g8. Queen h8, king f7, queen g7, skewers, and king to g6. There's this move queen g4, check, and on the move king f7, queen g7, and we win the queen. Also, maybe we should show this also too. On this move, there's this move queen h5, and on the move king g8, we could play queen h8 and queen h7, or we could maybe first take the rook and then do the exact same thing. So white is just totally winning in this line after the move after this move of bishop to d4. But now bishop f6 was the most testing move. And I realized here that, this bishop's a good defender of the king, so now bishop f6, knight f6, queen e3, check, king g6, and rook h4. I mean, actually, even after move king g7, rook h4 is going to come in, and the queen h6 mate is just too strong. I mean, as part of calculation, sometimes evaluating the position, just looking and asking yourself the next question of, what will black play next? And sometimes black just doesn't have any moves, and you make a threat, and you just see that black cannot parry it in any way. Knight h5 was the one move that I calculated, but I think this creates the most complications. But now we just give a check. Black can probably try a bunch of different things. f5, rook to g4 checks, very nice. I mean, this is actually a very important move. I think this is the only move that wins. King h6, queen e6, check, king h7, queen takes f5. And on the move king h8, we take, and rook h7, now the other rook comes in, and he delivers this checkmate. Oh my god, I just realized something. Oh man, so much nicer. So much nicer. Okay, in the game, please play the move queen e8. Okay, but so that's what happens on the move f5. On the move king to g7, we just simply take, and I don't really see any defense. I mean, I check on h7's threatened. It's basically game over, or on g4, or even on g5, it's winning. King h6 is also possible, but now rook takes h5. You gotta just keep these lines in mind. Queen h7, queen g7, g4, and queen f6. So it takes quite a decent amount of calculation, but rook c4 is definitely the correct move. Not to mention that in the original position, black is basically down, or black is up basically 2 pieces. So white needs to do something quickly, and the move rook c4 just looks winning, and when you calculate some variations, all of the critical moves that black can make all end up losing. So this was a very nice position from the game Morozevich and Movsesian. If you want me to show any other positions on the channel, please leave in the comments. All right, thanks.